I think we all have a friend or friends who swear they didn't really focus too much on their baby's sleep. They just put them down and they sleep really well without them really having to put much thought or effort into it. I think we also have a friend or friends who have babies who really struggle with sleep despite our friends' best efforts to follow the steps that they read in a book or read online. So why is it so easy for some babies to learn to sleep well and so challenging for others? It's because each of our babies have a different level of natural sleep talent. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Hi, I'm Allison Edgety, a pediatric sleep and wellness coach and a mom of two. I love to help parents find solutions. This is How Long Till Bedtime.
I remember when Addison was 3 years old and we signed her up for this little YMCA soccer season. I played soccer throughout my childhood, so I was pretty stoked to get her going. I remember standing out on that field for multiple Saturdays and being so intrigued by the varying levels of what I would call natural athleticism. Some of those 3-year-olds appeared to have popped out of the womb knowing how to play soccer. Their parents were standing there swearing that they had never done anything or exposed their child to soccer, and here we were watching this child take the ball coast to coast before scoring and doing all the things. And then there were some kids who were fast little runners, but they couldn't really kick or connect with the ball. There were other kids who weren't very fast, but they had a foot on them and they really could connect that eye-hand or eye-foot coordination and kick the ball. And then there were other kids who could barely run and who definitely could not kick the ball. And then the most extreme were those kids who were so not athletically driven that they just refused to get on the field. I found this all very entertaining. This was just watching our natural athletic ability at its earliest stage. A couple years later, I started coaching my daughter's soccer teams. I started helping those kiddos learn how to play soccer and how to build their athleticism. By the time these little kids were 8 years old, those natural athletes were still crushing it. But many of those other kids who had just been working on learning how to play the game, working on learning to run and kick, they were now holding their own, and some of them were really, really great players. Coaching and watching these kids develop made me realize that natural athleticism is kind of similar to natural sleep talent. Some people are born with a great deal of natural ability in the sleep department, meaning sleeping well comes pretty easily to them, just like soccer came pretty easily to some of those 3-year-olds. Other people, however, find sleep really challenging, and in order to get high quality sleep, they legit need to learn how to sleep well. More specifically, how to help their body sleep well, and they have to be pretty consistent about practicing good sleep habits. And just like athleticism, there is a really broad spectrum of sleep talent. The extremes are the babies who sleep well naturally, those friends we have that say, I just put my baby down and they slept. I don't know why people think this sleep thing is that hard with these babies. And then the other extreme are those babies who are really struggling despite the parents feeling like they're doing all the things. And then there's that wide range in between those two extremes. I think understanding that every baby has varying levels of natural sleep talent is important, and it can actually provide some relief. Because despite the best intentions of parents, some babies aren't going to be by the book. They're just not typical in that regard. They are going to truly need to be taught how to sleep well. And they're going to be what I think of as our more sensitive sleepers. These babies are not only going to need to learn the skills we need for sleep, that ability to self-soothe and put themselves to sleep and back to sleep, but they're also going to be more sensitive to their circadian rhythm, the timing of their sleep. They're going to be more sensitive to what happens in the bedtime routine, what overstimulates them versus sets them up to sleep well. When we think about that broad spectrum of natural sleep talent, I like to compare it to a sleep puzzle, or I should say compare sleep to being a puzzle. Some babies have a 25-piece sleep puzzle. These are big pieces, and it's pretty easy to figure out how to put them together and build that puzzle. You just need to get enough in the right place, and then it's pretty easy because the rest just falls into place because it's really clear where those pieces need to go. Other babies have a puzzle that's 1,000 little pieces. They have all these tiny pieces, and it's trickier to put them together. It's trickier to even get that puzzle started, and it's going to take longer to figure out how to complete that puzzle. And then, of course, you have all the sizes in between, the 50-piece puzzle, the 100-piece puzzle, the 200-piece puzzle, the 250-piece, etc. The good news is that I truly believe that all babies, children, and even adults can learn to sleep well. It's just going to take more effort and time to figure out how to put some of these sleep puzzles together. My girls are the perfect example of extremes. They are my best teachers in all things parenting related, and specifically in sleep. Addison, my oldest, who's the inspiration for this business, she definitely had that 1,000-piece sleep puzzle. I had read several books and had many false starts with trying to teach her to sleep well and trying to sleep train her. She just wasn't by the book. And let me tell you, I had tried several books. It wasn't until she was nearly 2 years old and I worked with a sleep coach and then read a lot about sleep and the science of sleep that I realized she has a very sensitive circadian rhythm. For years, she needed a very consistent schedule. She needed to be set up for sleep success. And when she got thrown off, it would take several days for her to recover. But she did learn to sleep well, and I learned how to help her sleep well, and it was a game changer for all of us, and ultimately, I think, a gift for her. Ainsley, on the other hand, is much more naturally inclined to sleep well. She was sleepy through the night at 8 weeks old. And while I certainly handled her newborn sleep differently than I handled Addison's, and I think that helped a lot, there are so many babies that I don't care how perfectly you handled their sleep, they could not be sleeping through the night at 8 weeks. So she has always been the more flexible child around her sleep. She's naturally able to sleep pretty well. She's able to tolerate schedule shifts. She's been able to tolerate later bedtimes from time to time. She can sleep in. She could take longer naps or shorter naps. She just bounced back quickly from anything that was off. She's not a sleep robot, of course. None of us are. But she's pretty darn naturally inclined to sleep well. And Addison and I are jealous of her. I've worked with many babies and children with a wide range of natural sleep talent over the years. My biggest piece of advice is to teach your babies and children healthy sleep habits, but also give yourself grace if it's seeming harder than it was for your siblings with their babies or your friends with their babies who seem to just naturally get it. Every baby and child's path and journey to becoming a, quote, great sleeper is going to be different. And I just want to assure you that it is never too late to teach your baby or child how to sleep well. I work with plenty of 3 and 4-year-olds who have never slept through the night, and we teach them how to sleep well, in part by figuring out what makes them tick, what sets them up for success. And I'm personally another great example. I have struggled with sleep for as long as I can remember. But after truly learning about sleep, I've been able to teach myself how to sleep well. Similar to Addison, sleep is not my most natural talent. I'm fairly sensitive in the sleep department, and I do have to work at it. But I have learned how to set my body up to sleep well. Teaching our kids how to sleep well is not always easy, but it is a wonderful gift that we can give them and give ourselves. I hope this episode helps you think about our children's sleep and maybe even your own sleep a little bit differently. If you know someone who likely has a baby or child who doesn't have as much natural sleep talent as some others, share this episode with them. I hope it helps them give themselves a little bit of grace. And it may help them understand their child a little bit better. And if you don't already, please like or subscribe to the How Long Till Bedtime podcast. We have been an ad-free podcast this is the 99th episode. And so subscribing will help us be able to reach more parents, which is our ultimate goal. So if you haven't already subscribed, please look for that button now. All right, as always, thanks for listening, and I hope you'll come back next week. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to How Long Till Bedtime. To learn how we can work together to improve your child's sleep, please visit sleepandwellnesscoach.com.